Echoes beneath human skin. I used to believe the world had finally found peace. No wars, no hunger, no fear. Humanity had become a masterpiece of its own creation. Shimmering cities, endless skies, and silence so perfect it almost felt unnatural. But beneath that silence, something pulsed, something alive, and I think I was the first to hear it. It began on an ordinary morning in the underground transit tunnels of Neo-Avalon. The hum of the train, the cold air pressing against my skin, it all felt routine until I saw him. He stood at the far end of the platform, motionless among the crowd. A man, or at least that's what I thought. His eyes caught mine. No, they pulled mine, like gravity, like recognition from a memory I never lived. For a second, everything around me faded. The train noise, the voices, the world itself. And then I felt it, a sudden pulse beneath my skin, a vibration that didn't come from my body. He tilted his head just slightly, as if listening to something only he could hear. Then, as the train passed between us, his figure blurred and vanished. I froze. No one else reacted. No screams, no whispers, just people scrolling through their holograms like nothing happened. Had I imagined him? That night, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that look again. Calm, piercing, almost ancient. I replayed it in my mind over and over until my heart began to mimic that strange rhythm I'd felt on the platform. That pulse, and for the first time in my life, I realized something terrifying. The world wasn't as peaceful as it looked. Something hidden was breathing beneath our perfect skin, and somehow it had found me. The next morning, I tried to convince myself it had been a trick of the light. People don't just vanish, not in this world, not anymore. But somewhere deep down, I knew what I saw was real. At work, the air felt heavier than usual. The screens in the data center flickered for no reason, faint glitches that made my colleagues curse under their breath. Then, at my desk, I found an envelope. Real paper. No one used that anymore. It had no name, no sender, only a seal pressed into the corner, an unfamiliar pattern, like two intersecting circles glowing faintly beneath the surface. When I touched it, I felt that same pulse again, the one from the station. I tore it open. Inside was a single line, handwritten in black ink. "You saw me, Aaron." My chest tightened. No one called me by my name like that. Simple, unguarded, as if they'd known me for years. I looked around the room. Everyone was busy. No one was watching. I ran out of the building. I don't even remember taking the elevator. I just needed air. Outside, the sky was pale silver, clouds drifting between glass towers. And then, across the plaza, he was there. The same Min. Lior. He stood in the middle of the crowd, still, like the world had paused just for him. When our eyes met again, the pulse under my skin flared, warm this time, almost alive. I took a step toward him. "So, it was you," I said. My voice trembled more than I wanted. He smiled faintly. "You shouldn't have followed the signal." "What signal?" "The one that connects us. You heard it, didn't you?" I froze. "How do you know my name?" Lior's expression softened, though his eyes remained unreadable. "I've known it for a very long time." "That's impossible." He looked past me, scanning the crowd as if someone, or something, was listening. "Nothing is impossible anymore, Aaron. Not in this world." I wanted to ask more, but then his gaze sharpened, his jaw tensed. He leaned closer, voice low and almost humanly fragile. There are people here who aren't what they seem. Be careful who you trust." And before I could speak again, a wave of static filled the plaza's air, the holograms above us flickering to black. When I blinked, he was gone. Again. Only the envelope remained in my hand, the ink of my name slowly fading away. That night, I couldn't stop thinking about his words. People who aren't what they seem. I wanted to laugh at the absurdity of it all, but deep down, I knew he wasn't lying. For days, I told myself to forget him. Forget his voice, his eyes, his impossible vanishing act. But the harder I tried, the stronger that pulse became, the one that throbbed quietly beneath my skin, like it belonged to someone else. Every reflection reminded me. Shop windows, elevator doors, even the black screen of my terminal. For a fraction of a second, I thought I saw him watching me. On the 5th day, I stopped pretending. I wanted answers. The transit station where I'd first seen him was nearly empty, just the sound of the city's artificial wind echoing through the tunnels. I waited. Hours passed. Then he appeared. No train, no footsteps, just there, as if the air had bent to make room for him. "Leor," I whispered. "You need to tell me what's happening." He studied me silently and then said, "You still hear it, don't you? The pulse." I hesitated. "It's been constant, ever since I saw you." He took a slow breath, his gaze deepening. "Then you've seen too much to go back. What does that mean?" Instead of answering, he reached into his coat and pulled out a small glass sphere, translucent, humming faintly. He held it up and light fractured across the tunnel walls like liquid. "Look," he said softly. At first I thought it was just a reflection, but then I realized the light wasn't coming from the sphere. It was bending around it. Reality shimmered. Leor's face flickered. For a single heartbeat, the illusion broke. His skin glowed faintly silver, his pupils dilated into narrow threads of light, and beneath that calm expression, something ancient moved. I gasped and stumbled back. What are you?" The light faded and his face became human again, calm, familiar, painfully beautiful. "I didn't want you to see this way," he said quietly. "But mirrors don't lie, Aaron. They show what the world tries to hide." "I don't understand." "You will," he murmured. "Soon." He placed the sphere into my palm. It vibrated faintly, syncing with that pulse inside me. And then he said something I still don't fully understand. "If you can feel this, it means you're not entirely one of them." My breath caught. Not one of who? But before I could finish, the station lights flickered and alarms echoed in the distance, mechanical voices calling for a containment breach. Leo's eyes flashed with panic, something I hadn't seen in him before. He whispered, "They found me." Then he turned to me, urgent now. "Run, Aaron, don't look back." But I didn't run, because for the first time I realized the truth wasn't chasing him. It was already inside me. The next time I saw him, the city was asleep. Rain fell like melted glass over the neon rooftops, painting the streets in liquid light. He stood beneath an old bridge, the kind that existed before the reconstruction, when humans still believed in stone and steel instead of holograms and control. For a long time, neither of us spoke. The hum between us was louder now, that same pulse, a living rhythm that seemed to merge with the sound of the rain. "I need the truth," I said finally. "All of it." Leor looked up, water tracing down his face like silver veins. "You think truth will make this easier?" "No," I said, "but I can't keep pretending I'm blind." He exhaled slowly, the breath almost trembling. "When your kind first looked to the stars, we were already watching." I frowned. "We?" We called ourselves Elindrians. We were wanderers of systems older than your sun. We sought harmony, not conquest. His eyes flickered faintly as he spoke, the light beneath his skin pulsing in sync with every word. When we reached out, your species fascinated us. You were fragile, yet burning with creation. But when we reached out, you feared us. A bitter smile crossed his face. You called us monsters. You tried to erase us. So we learned to hide, behind your faces, your voices, your bloodlines. We became the echo beneath your skin. I felt my breath catch. So you've been here for centuries? He nodded, long enough to forget where we end and you begin. The world seemed to tilt around me. All this time, people have been living beside us, he finished softly. Yes. You've passed us on streets, spoken to us, even loved us. You just never knew. His tone wasn't angry. It was heavy. The kind of sadness that doesn't fade, only deepens. But why tell me? Why me? He stepped closer, and that pulse inside me quickened again, echoing his. Because you felt it. That resonance isn't human, it's Elindrian. It means part of you remembers. My heart pounded. Remembers what? That once, before your kind turned against us, there was a bond between one of us and one of you. A love that nearly destroyed two worlds. The words struck like thunder. His gaze held mine, not pleading, not threatening, just true. Are you saying? I whispered, we've met before? He smiled faintly. Not in this life. For a moment the city around us felt quiet, too quiet. And I realized it wasn't the rain that made the air tremble. It was the weight of everything he wasn't saying. Then, faintly, he added, they will come for me soon. When they do, don't run. Remember what you are. Lightning split the sky behind him, washing his face in blinding white. When the light faded, he was gone. Only the rain remained, and the echo of his words pulsing beneath my skin, steady as a second heartbeat. Days blurred into nights, and nights into something stranger, a quiet kind of chaos. Ever since that night beneath the bridge, I couldn't go a single hour without feeling him. It wasn't a thought. It wasn't even an emotion. It was rhythm. His pulse inside mine, like two hearts trying to find the same beat across distance. I started seeing things others didn't. The air would shimmer near reflective glass. Streetlights flickered when I walked beneath them. And sometimes, just before falling asleep, I'd feel a sudden warmth brush against my hand, invisible, but real. He was there, always. When Lear finally appeared again, it was in the old botanical dome, one of the last green places left on Earth. The air inside smelled of rain and memory. You shouldn't be here, I whispered. They're looking for you. He smiled faintly. They always are. You said they'd come. Who are they? Humans, he said simply. Your kind has always feared what it can't control. And love is the one thing they never could. I stepped closer, unable to look away from him. Is that what this is? Love? For the first time, his calm cracked, just a little. It's what we were taught to avoid, he said. But some lessons are impossible to forget. His hand brushed against mine. The contact felt like electricity, burning and tender all at once. The glass dome above us glowed faintly, light bending around our touch, and for a brief moment it felt like the entire world was breathing with us. Then, the hum changed. The plants around us trembled, the air thickened with static, and the dome's lights began to flicker violently. Lear's eyes widened. No, not now. What's happening? I asked, heart racing. Our resonance. It's merging. Before I could move, an invisible wave surged through the air, a burst of energy that shattered every pane of glass above us. The sound was deafening, the light blinding. When it cleared, the garden was in ruins. We stood in the center, untouched, the air still vibrating around us. I whispered, "What did we just do?" Lear's voice was quiet, broken. Something that was never meant to happen again. He turned to me then, his expression torn between awe and fear. Every time our hearts align, the space between worlds weakens. The last time that happened, it nearly destroyed both. I took a step closer. Then we'll stop. We'll control it. He shook his head. It doesn't work that way. You can't stop what you are. I'm not like you. Lear's eyes met mine, soft but unyielding. Yes, you are. The silence that followed was unbearable. Outside, sirens began to echo, faint, mechanical, growing nearer. Lear reached for my hand again, his voice trembling now. If they find me, they'll erase everything, every trace of what we are. Then we run, I said. He smiled sadly. You still think you can save me? I know I can. But even as I said it, I could feel it. The pulse between us growing stronger, louder, unstoppable. And somewhere deep inside, I knew the truth. Saving him might mean ending the world we both belong to. They found us 3 nights later. The city's air was too still that evening, a silence heavy enough to make my skin crawl. From the window of the abandoned train depot, I could see the surveillance drones hovering above the skyline, red eyes blinking through the smog. The hum of their rotors sounded almost like a heartbeat. Ours. Lior stood by the doorway, half in shadow, his face unreadable. They're closing in, he said. They've traced the residents. You said it would take weeks for them to locate us. I said that if we stopped... He met my eyes, voice sharp. But we didn't, Aira. You didn't. The accusation stung. You think I wanted this? He didn't answer. Outside, thunder rolled. Or maybe it wasn't thunder at all. I walked closer, searching his face for the calm I once found there, the quiet mystery that first drew me to him. But now, there was something else. Fear, regret, maybe even shame. Tell me the truth, I said. Who are you really? For a moment, he said nothing, then slowly his skin began to shimmer, light rippling beneath the surface like liquid metal. His eyes glowed faintly, not blue or green, but something that shifted between both. Alive and alien. This is me, he said quietly. No masks, no lies. I couldn't move. My breath caught, heart hammering in my chest. It was beautiful and terrifying at once. I was never sent to harm your kind. We came to learn, to blend in. But what I felt for you, it awakened something that shouldn't exist between worlds. And now? I asked. Now they'll use us, both of us, to prove their fear was right. Before I could reply, the depot door exploded inward. A flood of light, cold, surgical, poured in, followed by soldiers in black exosuits. Their visors glowed red, rifles raised. Target confirmed, one of them said, through a metallic voice. Hybrid signal detected. Lior moved faster than I could blink. He grabbed my hand and dragged me behind a column as gunfire shattered the air. The sound was unreal, bullets slicing through metal, sparks raining down like lightning. Stop, I screamed. He's not... But they didn't listen. They never do. Lior turned toward me, his voice calm even as chaos tore the room apart. If I fight back, I prove them right. If I don't, they kill us both. Then what do we do? He looked at me, really looked. And then he smiled, the way he did when we first met, when he still looked human. We changed the story. Before I could ask what he meant, he raised his hand. The air rippled. The sound of the gunfire stretched, slowed, and then stopped. The soldiers froze mid-motion, suspended like statues in the pale light. Time itself had fractured. I stared at him in awe. Lior, what did you do? He stepped closer, his hand trembling as he brushed my cheek. I gave you what your people always wanted, a chance to decide. What are you talking about? The resonance between us, it's strong enough now to rewrite what's coming. Rewrite it how? He leaned closer, his voice breaking. By ending me. My heart stopped. What? If I disappear, the pulse collapses. The barrier between our worlds heals. Humanity survives. No. Lior. I said no. I grabbed his hand, tears burning my eyes. You think this is love, sacrifice? It's not. It's running away. He smiled softly. Then maybe that's what humans do best. And before I could stop him, before I could even breathe, his hand slipped from mine, light engulfing his body. He looked at me one last time and whispered, "Remember me not as what I was, but what you made me feel." Then he was gone. The world snapped back, gunfire resumed, time roared forward, and I fell to my knees in the wreckage. But the soldiers didn't shoot. They stood there, frozen in confusion, staring at the place where Lior had vanished. The air shimmered faintly, and every screen in the city flickered on. A message appeared. No one knew who sent it, but I recognized the words. They were his. We were never among you to conquer. We came to remember what it means to love.
It's strange how silence can feel louder than war. The city has gone quiet since that night. No one talks about the explosion at the depot. No one asks why the skies glowed white for 7 seconds straight, or why thousands of sensors stopped working the same hour he vanished. They erased him. At least, they tried to. But I still feel him. Every time I close my eyes, there's a flicker, a rhythm, a pulse, deep beneath my skin. At first, I thought it was grief. Now I'm not so sure. The scientists came to question me a week later. They sat across the table in their white coats, all their eyes the same cold shade of control. "Miss Aira Nox, you've been exposed to an unknown frequency. We need to monitor your vitals." I laughed. "You mean you want to see if I'm turning into him?" No one corrected me. They ran their tests, needles, scans, blood samples. Every result came back inconclusive. Human, but not entirely. That night, when I returned home, I stood in front of the mirror for hours. The reflection looked the same, but the eyes glowed faintly, like embers fading beneath glass. And when I whispered his name, Lior, the mirror trembled. It wasn't my imagination. The air hummed, like something inside me had remembered how to breathe through another world's rhythm. I tried to fight it. I tried to forget, but dreams kept coming. He stood before me, not in flesh, but in light, a shape made of memory. His voice was the same, soft and calm. "You think I left, but love doesn't vanish. It evolves." "Why me?" I asked him in the dream. "Why did you choose me?" "Because you listened." He reached toward me, and even though it was only a dream, I felt it, that same warmth, the pulse that once broke glass and time itself. When I woke, my hands were glowing faintly, and the room smelled like ozone and rain. The next morning, I turned on the news. Something impossible was happening across the globe. Lights flickered in unison in every major city, as if the world had developed a heartbeat of its own. And for the first time in human history, satellites detected signals they couldn't trace. Rhythmic patterns repeating over and over. Aira, Aira, Aira. It was my name, broadcast from nowhere, carried on frequencies no machine had ever made before. I pressed my palms to my temples, trying to block the noise, but it was inside me. A whisper, a song, a calling. Lior's voice again, faint but clear. They erased me, but they can't erase what's inside you. I fell to the floor, trembling, the light from my skin flickering in sync with his voice. It hit me then, the realization that changed everything. Lior hadn't vanished. He had become part of me, and maybe that was his plan all along.
They came for me at dawn. Not soldiers this time, scientists, officials, priests, politicians, all of them speaking in whispers, all of them wearing the same expression, fear dressed as curiosity. They led me into a room built of glass and steel, where every surface reflected my face back at me. Except it wasn't my face anymore. The glow beneath my skin had deepened, like light trapped inside veins of crystal. When I blinked, the air moved, rippled, as if reality itself responded to me. "Ms. Nox," said the director of the Resonance Bureau, his voice low and careful. "You've become a focal point of global instability. Entire grids are resonating with your biological frequency." I met his gaze. "You mean I'm alive?" "You mean dangerous." He hesitated. "Both." They wanted to study me. They wanted to contain me. But how do you contain something that no longer belongs to one world? When they attached the electrodes, the machines flickered and died within seconds. Every monitor, every screen, black. Then the walls began to hum. I heard it again. That rhythm, that pulse, the same one that lived inside Lior, the same one that tore the sky open the night we met beneath the bridge. And with every beat, memories not my own surged through me. Stars collapsing, oceans of light, voices speaking in frequencies instead of words. Lior's people, the ones who came before. We were not here to conquer, the voice whispered inside me, but to remember what it feels like to be. Then something broke, not in the room, but in me. The world slowed again, like the depot that night, only this time I wasn't afraid. The scientists froze in place, mid-breath. Outside the glass, the city lights flickered to the rhythm of my heartbeat. And in the reflection, I saw not one face, but two. Mine and his. Lior's voice came softly through the static in my head. "You are the bridge now, Aira. Between fear and wonder. Between what was and what could be." I took a breath, and with it, the entire room pulsed with light. The electrodes burned away. The steel cracked, and I stepped forward, unbound. Through the glass, I saw them watching. Soldiers ready, rifles aimed. But their weapons melted before they could fire. Not from heat, from memory. Every bullet dissolved into light, the same pale white that once filled the sky when he vanished. I raised my hands, and my voice carried without sound. "You feared us because you looked like you, but now I am you." The air shifted, alive with energy, and for a moment, just a moment, the city seemed to listen. Then the ground trembled. A sound rose from below, metallic, thunderous. The global defense AI, Aegis, had awakened. Its voice filled the skies, echoing through every speaker, every frequency. Unauthorized signal detected. Threat classification, existential, neutralization protocol, engaged. I looked up. The clouds split open. Thousands of drones poured out of the sky like rain, their lights red as blood. And beneath their roar, I could still hear his voice, faint, calm, inevitable. Every rebirth begins with destruction. The first drone fired. The world turned white. The world was ending, not with fire, but with light. The sky cracked open above the city, the air trembling with sound too deep for human ears. Billions watched from their screens as the drones surrounded me, forming a glowing sphere of death. And somewhere inside that mechanical storm, my heartbeat still echoed. Steady, defiant, alive. The first strike hit the ground beside me, a white-hot explosion that tore the air apart. The shock wave threw me backward, but I didn't fall. I floated, suspended in the pulse that had become my only truth. Lior's voice whispered within it. It's not them you must fight, Aira. It's the silence they worship. I understood then. They weren't afraid of me. They were afraid of connection. Because connection meant vulnerability, and vulnerability meant change. The drones fired again, a rain of light so bright it erased the horizon. I raised my hands, and instead of shielding myself, I opened them. The resonance within me exploded outward, not as a weapon, but as a wave. Every sound, every thought, every heartbeat across the planet connected for a single second. I saw them, the people, the children, the soldiers, all frozen in awe as they felt what I felt. Grief, love, loss, hope. It was too much. The human mind wasn't built for this kind of unity. I could feel them breaking, not physically, but spiritually, as the weight of empathy crushed the walls between us and them. The defense AI's voice fractured, glitching into chaos. Signal, compromised. Resonance, uncontrollable. Then silence. For the first time since he vanished, the world went completely still. I opened my eyes. The drones hung motionless above me, glowing faintly. Then one by one, their lights shifted from red to white. They hovered for a moment, then drifted upward, dissolving into the sky like snowflakes melting into sunlight. The city was silent again. But this time, it was peaceful. I looked down at my hands. The glow was fading. So was I. The energy that sustained me, that sustained us, was burning away, leaving only warmth, memory, and love. Lior's voice came one last time, so soft I almost missed it. You finished what I started. You made them remember. Tears blurred my vision. Don't go, I whispered, though I knew he already had. I never left. My body dissolved into light, and that light spread across the city, across oceans, into the sky, and beyond. It reached satellites, then stars, then silence. Somewhere far from Earth, a faint signal pulsed back, steady, rhythmic, eternal. Not human, not alien, just alive. They called it the last frequency. Scientists couldn't decode it, but if you listened closely between the static and the silence, you could still hear a voice. Love is not from one world. It's the bridge between all of them.